What's up, everybody? It's FM99 Rock Girl Kristin, and I'm here with Johannes from Avatar. I'm super excited to be talking to him today. We're at the Norva, as he's going to have his show later today. I've been wanting to see you guys for such a long time, and I actually saw you for the first time with Ice Nine Kills and in this moment, and I was blown away. You guys did such a great job. For those first-timers, can you tell me about what to expect tonight?
I don't want to give away spoilers, but the words we've been using lately to describe it is that it's a metal circus. And we mainly use that to correct people, which doesn't happen often, but still, it's not circus metal. That's silly. But a metal circus, it's awesome. Meaning that, you know, it's a feast for your eyes and ears, hopefully.
I think that's a good way to describe it from when I first saw you guys in October or November, whatever it was. Awesome. So Dance Devil Dance is your newest album, which came out in February of 2023. Do you mind talking me through the process of creating that album and kind of any inspiration there or any favorite songs from that album?
Sure. Yeah. It's now finally it's been long enough so I actually, you know, these questions are really hard when the album comes out. But now it's kind of sorted out what that whole thing was. And of course, so what really happened is we'd made Hunter Gatherer, the album before that. And then, don't know if you noticed, but there was a plague. So we couldn't hit the road, which then was kind of the question for all of us, so what do we do now? And we have multiple songwriters in the band, but speaking for myself, I had a moment of, well, I finally have time to do my own thing. Wow, I can show to the world what I'm really about. And I was about 20 bad songs, but I did 3 good enough to show the band. And, oh, okay, these are band songs. Okay, help me, please. And it just gave a bit more time to work on things and let it simmer and ferment and rot and whatever it needed to do to become what it needed to be. And in that journey was a lot of thinking. Aside from just, there's a very, you know, basic thing about writing songs that is just as is hard to do, but the idea is as easy as it sounds. Just like try to come up with things you like and make sense out of it and put it out there, you know. But then there are, you know, the more lofty goals of asking yourself, why do we even do this? What's the point of it? And also those answers are also, you know, easily said, sometimes hard, well, to follow through on. And with this one was a very basic thing about, so, you know, like, lots of questions like, why metal? What metal? How metal? And the big approach that I think was there before as well, but very much outspoken, is like, well, we're in a band that contains a drummer and a bass player, a so-called rhythm section. Why do you have a rhythm section in an orchestra? Well, that is to create momentum and movement. Ah, okay, we're exactly the same as a salsa band or whatever, you know. This is dance music. It's just we dance a bit differently. It hurts, but it's still movement to music. Ah, movement, okay. And that kind of informed how all the songs were put together, and the title Dance Devil Dance, kind of the dance part of that really encapsulated that very basic thing of movement in the music. So that was a huge part of it. The other part, the devil part, it's a strangely spiritual album. Now, ultimately, I don't personally believe in anything, but another thing I was thinking a lot about was the power still that we attribute to rituals, to symbols and everything. Even if you don't believe in magic and spells, once per year in your life, people chant the same incantation and have you ritualistically make wishes and blow out candles. We do that for some reason. We gather around rituals. We gather around certain meals, certain parts of the year. And again, I don't believe in anything, but Christmas is nice. And one thing I always feel like when you have because you know you bring a lot of tradition in what you eat around Christmas, and I feel symbolically it's kind of a time of the year where we sit down and have a meal with ancestors and future generations all at once. You know, you have kind of a gathering like that in your mind. so the powers of rituals was there, and then we have powers of symbols that party symbols, emojis, they all mean something. And in that idea, what is a meaningful symbol to, what symbolism matters to me at this point in life? And that was then connected to a spiritual journey, because I don't believe in spirits, but there's something to be said about just how you kind of sort out the drawers in your brain and how you take in information, take in life. Sorry, it's a real long answer.
No, I love it. It's
how you
great.
take in things in life where I feel there's something to be said about the spiritual perspective. And then that doesn't mean, oh, that footstep, the floorboard was creaky, grandma is here, you know? No, she's not. But there's something to be said about spiritualism. So, all this, a lot of time to think during the pandemic.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of anxiety to deal with. So that it comes through all of this, ritualistic behaviors. Also, jogging a lot. Trying to jog further, getting past that 10K, discovering that, that I'm, susceptible to get runner's highs. And I was listening to, my brother had made a playlist with just this intense rave music, this boom, 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 going on in your ears, you're running for an hour, and, you're in a trance-like state. And I came to realize that I am Satan.
Great. Hello. Hi, Satan.
But I believe one day you can be Satan too.
Thank you. I hope so.
Because it's and that's the idea. Then, well, I have a couple of critical things to say about the organized religions at large. I grew up with in a part of the world where one of the Abrahamic ones is more prevalent. I have more informed negative opinions about that. If you go to scripture, do you like this on radio, right? You asked about the album, the Satanic Dance album.
That's what we want to hear.
Are you sure? Yeah. So, okay, I gave you like 3 times now to call uncle on this. I'll keep going. No, it's just that if you go to read scripture, which I have done to a fair amount, the guys in charge of those, is quite misogynist, authoritarian, a lot of stuff going on there. And if we go from Satan to other symbols, in that gang, Antichrist, meaning the idea of an antithesis to what's going on there, that should probably be some kind of cool, feminist, egalitarian harbinger of democracy, which, that's me.
Yeah.
So,
I was, sorry.
Go ahead. No, I'm talking way too much. It's your show.
I was going to ask with the dance devil part, if that was a play on metal music and how people associate metal music with the devil and Satan and stuff.
Also, yeah. But to me, it's important that what we do works in layers. It's like when we did we done 2 proper concept albums, and before we did the first one, and which we did simply because we didn't know how and looking for a challenge. We kind of it was very important to us. Concept. Overarching story, a little book that rhymes, illustrations, all of that, but it's not interesting unless the song stands on its own 2 legs as well. I like The Wall by Pink Floyd a lot, but also Another Brick in the Wall and Comfortably Numb stand on their own as songs, for instance, and that was what it was all about to us. So on one level, you can stay on a superficial level, which is the most important one, is that this is music that makes you move, and and that's plenty. That's something to gather around. That's just a good time through music. That's the main functionality of why we are here. But things can work in layers. So RoboCop, right? And then you watch it a bit older, and it's also funny, and then 4th time, it's actually really dumb. This is great. And, so it works in layers. And I want what we do to work in layers. But all the layers that go deeper, if it isn't a kick-ass, it has to be Smoke and Water first. A riff, a beat, a groove. And we had a lot of time to sort all these thoughts out, and then it's just the usual thing. We're multiple songwriters, and to different extents we help each other bring the songs across the finish line with each other and put each other's, our seasoning on each other's stuff, steal each other's ideas. And in that whole process, it's an eclectic metal album that's meant to make you move.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it worked because the Dirt I'm Buried In peaked at #1 for the Billboard's mainstream rock songs.
We've never done anything like it, and we appreciate it a lot, and getting that airtime and everything. And if you're a Scandinavian metal band, you don't expect that to happen. So that's all amazing.
You also duetted with Lzzy Hale on Violets No Matter What. Can you talk about how that came together?
Started with a song. Tim did a bunch of riffs. They were amazing. And I had to put, when coming up with vocals, the first idea I had, at least first usable, was the first thing you hear in the song, which is this call and response thing between two voices. And Henrik and Tim do a bunch of backup vocals on the albums. Tim has a very deep bass voice, and Henrik is a tenor, we think. He said when he was 16. But it goes pretty high. And I'm somewhere in the middle, unless I get to be really loud, then I can go high. So I figured, okay, Henrik will be really busy here. But then I kept writing, and I don't know, there are certain bands I listen to a lot, but even more while writing, which is, for instance, Faith No More, and for instance, Simon and Garfunkel. And I started to Simon and Garfunkel the rest of the song. Harmonies kept on going through the verse, and then like, oh, this is kind of a duet now. So it came from, it started with the song becoming that, and then start to think in terms of, okay, so who should we ask? And don't know if anyone has noticed this before, and this might be a scoop just for you guys, but we're only guys in Avatar. So, which means that, there's just inherently certain sounds that we cannot bring to the table ourselves. So immediately started to just exclude the dudes. We got that part covered. And and Lzzy Hale was pretty much really the first one we came to think of, because we have done some show with Hailstorm. I think there's an overlap. Like, again, we are metal band, and I like to talk about rock and roll and movement and dance music, blah, 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 blah. And I think Hailstorm are kind of pigeonholed as a rock and roll band, but they go pretty damn hard with a rock and roll, so there's a bit of overlap in the Venn diagram, and especially with Lizzy's way of singing. Yeah. So it was kind of a no-brainer to go to her very early on. And Lzzy is cool, because she says, would you like to do a fun thing? Yes. So that fell into place very easily. And I love it. We're so used to hear each other in the band do each other's stuff, it's kind of desensitized to that. But on those rare occasions where something we have written comes out of another person's body or fingers, whatever it is that they contribute with, it's such a rush as a songwriter that just for that experience itself, it was amazing. And then because we don't spend a lot of time as a band being, very specifically political. We keep it pretty clean and simple most of the time. Yeah. But this one, I guess, is, as far as lyrics goes, one of the most clearly that we don't like that thing.
Yeah, like making your opinion known. Kind
yeah.
Of thing. Yeah.
And again, but also in my mind, not a controversial one. And she was up for that message. A pretty simple one. And then we got to take it even a bit further, which she also was on board with, because it was like, oh yeah, this will now go up as a lyric video and the whole thing. And we realized it's a serious topic in a rock and roll song. Yeah. It's something we do for entertainment, and if it's performed live, it will be performed live in a setting where we say, don't remember to exit through the gift shop. So there's an ethical balance to be had when you are in entertainment and sometimes do something like this, which I think is perfectly fine to do both, but you have some responsibility. So it's like, okay, so what footage do you put on that? War footage? Sure, because war is bad. Yeah, but it's also a kick-ass metal song and things that explode, and no, it's that's pornography at that point. So to do it in some kind of respectful memory of Masha Amini and what has come after that and what it still means and should mean. So, and yeah, I think we balanced it out. And Lzzy was on board with that and showing solidarity with that as well, which I think was really cool.
Yeah, I think you guys, like seeing the music video and hearing the lyrics, that you guys did that really masterfully too. And I think
Thank you.
some bands just don't do that. But yeah.
No, but also it's not easy.
Yeah,
To be
exactly.
fair, it's not easy.
Yep.
Because you have to find the balance between that. Yeah, we are people, we are artists, we are entitled to say whatever we want, as you are, as we all should be, and then it's you are perfectly entitled to like or dislike what we're doing and all that. But so that's step one, right? But once we are in the place where we said a thing and you like the thing, and we're there to entertain you and take some of your money for that entertainment and stuff like that, and we've been given a megaphone, and again, we are people with right to vote from a free country visiting another supposedly free country, then we there's a balance to be had in how to do things respectfully.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, so speaking of creating, I notice a lot of your music videos are very, very creative and don't fit the typical music video mold, if you will, I guess.
Yeah, because they're not bad, yeah.
Yeah. yeah, that's one way to describe it for sure.
We're back to the entertaining part now. Yeah.
Would you mind just talking about like what goes into creating music videos?
A lot. So since doing Black Waltz back in the day, we've been working with Johan Kalén as director, photographer, one-man pre- and post-production. Well, now we start to sometimes bring in more people for him. But all essentially, it's a one-man music production machine that we work, the band and us together, come up with concept scripts, produce it, and move the lights around to the greatest extent possible. We do all that work together, and that has been this, and we are on this journey with him still to this day, where we just try to come up with new good things, because that's the thing where when we started out and we started real young, all of these things about a band needs an image or you need a music video because we were never good at it when we were just thinking of it as marketing tools. When we start to find the art, also the art in band photos, art in music videos and all that, then we start to really be able to have more fun with it and be creative with it.
Story.
Yeah. But usually it varies quite a bit from song to song, but in general, a lot of the ideas have started with me and John, with Johan. So we throw ideas around, and usually you have gathered a little bag of loose ideas that you start to real process together to find the right one for it, and then we can kind of structure out like a rough treatment of what it's gonna be. Nowadays it's always Johan. At some point I did 1, 2, maybe 3 scripts, but rather proper script, because then he anyway had to translate my scripts to director speak.
Yeah.
So he will
language.
he will write a script around it, and we figure out what we need and do, and then we just do as much as possible ourselves, because when you can, it's just put the money where it needs to be put to make as good of a video as possible, when we always pretty much run our own thing here.
Yeah. So when you're making the music, do you have the music video in mind already, or does that come after everything's solidified with the song?
After, but I think sometimes it's been easier than others to get there, so somewhere maybe back in the head. But in the best of cases, music, there's a condition that some people have where they truly see colors and shape when they hear music. Mm-hmm. That's not what goes on for me. No, but I can get a really strong and last songwriting meeting we had last week, when I tried to explain why one guitar sound was better than the other for the other guys, I had to explain to them the laser beam flying through space that I was traveling alongside, and during that guitar sound, like, what are you taking? No, it's just sweet sounds, man. So so in that sense, good riffs with the right groove is not okay. It makes my head nod, sure.
Yeah. But how do you make that into music?
Yeah, but exactly. But some of them just you see things, and I know "Hail the Apocalypse" was probably the most evident one like that. Where I just heard the riffs and the drums, and I saw this. Immediately saw this thing of, you know, the old school, the end is near guy holding a sign on the street, looking up, seeing the bombs falling, saying, finally. And this lyrics kind of came from that. Yeah. And then that's pretty solid then to like, I guess the world is ending in this video, huh? So in that sense, it can happen.
Yeah. Okay.
But many times these visions I would get are way more abstract, more laser beams in space. And not spaceship laser, more just a lonely ray of light. So, you know, so kind of useless for music video purposes, but just tells me it's a sweet riff. Something's being drawn.
Yeah, Chip Mosh Pit was a little crazy out there. I thought that one was a really good music video.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that one was more that was more playing around with, wouldn't it be fun if we could do this or that? And we love going back to those stranger children's shows that were around when we were kids, you know, weird people in doll masks, and it's a bit creepy, and like the good stuff that the kids don't get these days.
Yes.
And just explore also, therefore, well, just techniques. It looks awesome visuals that they did on a studio set for a children's show for children in 1972, and therefore, well, that and green screen we can afford. So find solutions like that. So that one really came more from riffing around ideas, and I had seen a Godzilla movie just before that as well.
All makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to switch gears just a little bit. So you guys have been touring in America for a good 10 years or so, I think. Can you talk about the process between breaking your music out here in the States versus Sweden and European countries?
Well, it was funny. Like our fourth album was the first one that was licensed to be released in the United States. Which means that we had some practice. In combination with that, we bumped into people that became our managers really early on. So this setup immediately was we were more well prepared. So it felt at the time we were kind of hitting the ground running comparably. Now it has, so, you know, you're doing boot camp over in Europe for a long time. We did figuring things out, and because we debuted when I was 19. Mm-hmm. So those first three albums is the early 20s, and just the kind of left to our own devices, figuring things out. So our first taste of some more, stable success came here in the States, and then it kind of spread back east, back to Europe afterwards, and now it's fairly even. And it's funny, like now I have of course we spend a lot of time here, a lot of friends, a lot of business associates, lots of everything, meaning I nowadays would dare say I have a fairly nuanced idea of what the US, what it is. And I thought so also in the beginning, but a lot of it was built on that I'm huge, like very big South Park fan. And also a Matt Stone and Trey Parker fan. Yeah. Also, must add, not just because they do something completely different as the end product, but the way they reason and work with what they're doing has been so inspiring for me also, not trying to be funny, but just how they stick with what they're doing, that they stay in control of it, and they let it grow and change and evolve as they do as people. So we thought, okay, South Park is this parody satire version of America, and we come here. There's no satire. This is exactly what it is everywhere all the time. All those scenes where we were like, that can't be. Oh, that's no. And you go, no. Like, it was the jewelry selling channels and how they speak and all those things that we thought were like, that's genius. How did they come up with that? They didn't.
No,
they just
just right
copied
there.
what they saw on TV. And now, over time, you know, those, like I said, it's been a decade. Still true.
I agree with you on there. Do you remember your first show in America? What city that was in at all?
I don't remember the city. I remember the show. We were no, actually, we did a little showcase thing. It's called Webster Hall in New York City.
Okay.
Down in the little basement, the small camera guy's going, wow, no, downstairs, small, still cool. And then the first proper, we were opening for Seven Dust, and I remember what the venue looks like and everything. And that first run with Seven Dust was a lot of fun. We were shit-faced 39 days out of 42.
Hey, you need those extra days of rest, so...
Yeah. No, how it happened for us, I don't think does anyone any good per se. But what it tells me, the story at large, is if if you're in a band and want to go places, you just have to do all the things.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Which means you have to spend all those hours rehearsing, all that time writing all those bad songs to get to the good songs, and then spread it in every way you can. Also those that feel pointless, and all the ways will be pointless until suddenly they are not. Because I could give you the advice, you know what really turned Europe around for us? Open for Avenged Sevenfold and Five Finger Death Punch on an arena tour. That's some good advice for you. How do you get there? I don't know. Because it's all these little things that happens along the way, those tiny butterfly effects that put you there in that position that if you're a teenager now starting something out, you can't, it's not a roadmap per se, but you build your own roadmap by trying to do what you can at any given time. Okay, you're the band, the metal band in your little small town where there's a community center, and it will let you put up a show. Couple towns over, there's probably another band just like that with a little community center. Get in touch, put each other on each other's billing, and do that with a third town. Now that's 3 shows. That's called a tour. You're setting up a tour together, and do that, and and keep in touch, support each other. They're so easy, and we still do, and fight this instinct because it's a tiny pie, and we want our slice. But helping each other and being supportive and letting your work speak for itself, and just make sure that the work is up to par, up to snuff with things, is much more rewarding. Also, because these people who are driven to do music, it's just funny. It's up. Not everyone, maybe when they grow up a bit, maybe being in a band wasn't the real dream, because the good parts of my job, most people would enjoy. At the end of the evening, people applaud you a bit, and and there's grown-ups holding your hands, so you don't have to think of where to go, and it's nice, and you get way too much credit for your affecting people's lives when there are school counselors and ambulance drivers and stuff that also have quite an impact on people's lives. Mm-hmm. So all that is nice. But they're a part of this job that isn't for everyone, as is any job. It's like I had to make a living. One of the ways I had to make a living on the side until not that long ago was in elderly care. Yeah. And, playing checkers, drinking coffee, out in the sun and all that cozy stuff. That most people could do that. It's not a bad time to do while clocked in somewhere. But then you have to maybe wipe butts on people older than you.
Yeah.
I never thought that was so bad. That's a little, one-on-one time anyway, with people. And if you're wired like that, then elderly care might be for you. And so you have to be wired for things that other people wouldn't like as much.
Good way to think about it.
Yeah, and we're kind of circus people the way we are in the band. So the circus fits us. My point with that being is, for instance, our production manager who designs our stage show and light and all that, he was the drummer in one of these bands that we would do things together with back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Then he found another home in the music business, which fit us perfectly. And we've been on this journey together. He's part of the family in his own way. So all those connections might be the connections that lead you then to the big time. Yeah. But as soon as you pick up a guitar or whatever and start doing songs and try to make things happen, you are in the music business. You're on the bottom floor, But if you start treating it like that in terms of relationships and putting the work in and building, that thing, like we all had jobs that we could run away from when needed, substitutes in preschool or demolition work or whatever, stuff where you just got away with, you wouldn't come home being completely unemployed. So, and of course you didn't make much like that, but enough to stay afloat and wasting your life on this hopeless dream.
Yeah.
So you just have to, if it is a priority, it has to be the priority.
Yeah. Hard work, making connections can go a long way, it sounds like.
Yeah. And be nice, because people
Yes.
remember and people talk.
Yeah. Especially, I'm sure, in the music industry.
Oh, yeah, we're so gossipy. Oh, my God.
I mean, as you should be, though, I feel like.
Yeah, but if you just knew what treasure troves that we are sitting with shit to spew.
Yeah.
But I won't.
All right. Well, we can move on to the last segment. This is just a fun little game. It's called Word Association.
It's a game.
It's a
Let's
game.
see when it's done if it's fun. Go ahead.
Okay, I hope it is.
Me too.
So I'm just going to list a couple of metal bands, and you're just going to say like a word or phrase that comes to your mind when I say their name.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The first one, In Flames.
Well, okay. Probably top 5 or 3 most important bands for us in a bunch of different ways. They took us on tour when they didn't need to. They were an inspiration before we knew them. They helped us indirectly and directly multiple times over, and great guys.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't know that. I just said that because they were just here recently in Virginia. So.
Yeah, we're right behind them, I think.
Yeah.
We're just kind of
Like, yeah,
on
not
the
too
same
far.
routing.
Yeah, awesome. Next one, Slayer. As it should be.
Like the 3rd or 4th cover we played in the band learning to play back in the day was Raining Blood.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Ghost.
We met once. They finished a signing session at a festival, and we were, basically they stood up, we sat down, and like in Swedish, like, hej, fan vad roligt att träffas, eller? Okay, vi ses. So, but then it's like, and that, they were as secret as they were, but we kind of sitting catering, looking around. Those guys have good-looking jeans and good-looking tattoos. They're Swedish.
Yes, they are.
I'm sorry, there's too many Grim Reapers on Harleys with bald eagles shooting laser out of the eyes tattoos. Actually, that sounds rad. I want one of those now.
Oh, there you go.
But you know
That
what I
too.
mean? Like,
Yeah, I know
he's
what you
just...
mean. Yeah, typical kind of
Yeah,
one,
Swedes dress better,
Yes,
as you can tell.
I can agree with that.
The shoes look good, though.
All right, Alice Cooper.
Yeah, see, on occasion, I'm known to swing a cane, wear a red coat, and a hat on stage while wearing makeup. Never heard a guy.
All right, so this one I feel like is probably the biggest metal band of all time, Taylor Swift.
I respect her immensely. It's just Shake It Off that has done it for me.
Yeah.
'Cause I like, there's a lot of bubblegum pop stuff that I can really enjoy. Aquarium, Aqua's debut album, mwah. I know it all by heart. So, but more importantly, I feel like she, as an entity in the music business,
Oh, yeah.
picking certain fights about that then trickle down to us, crawling around in the mud. I think she's doing some good for all of us in that sense. And there I feel immense gratitude and respect.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, next one, Rammstein.
Rammstein.
Yeah, well, I'm American, so.
Yes, but I am Swedish and you don't hear me talk like this the whole interview. So let's try again. Rammstein.
Rammstein. I don't know how to roll my R's.
But you don't have to say sh. Stein.
Rammstein.
That's better.
Thank you.
Yeah, R's in different languages. That's not fair to correct people's R's. That's hard. Yeah, I'm half German. So I get to, because the world loves Rammstein. And if you only knew how good the lyrics actually are, they're really good.
Yeah.
So much of the time, you know, that's like more than half the thing for me is what's being told in the songs. And then it's incredible to think how far they get just through the quality of the music and the visuals and everything else. Well, my personal opinion, I think a lot of German-speaking people would agree, you're kind of missing the essence, and still is that great. That says something.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Awesome. All right, last one. Ministry.
Love Ministry. I love Ministry so much, and that, again, going back to the pandemic, was one of the bands that really captured angst about how things were going quite a bit for me. And sad, you know, sad state of affairs when kind of old albums kind of resonate so well with you. What's about things that are wrong now? So I wish I had gotten more into them even earlier, because they ended up now, even at this point in my life, playing a huge part of how I view music, songwriting, and how I like, you know, I love Ministry.
Yeah, awesome. I agree. They're pretty great. All right, well, that's all I have for you. So,
it was a fun game.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Johannes of Avatar.